Alright everyone, welcome back to Street City Studio. I'm John, and this video I kind of want to talk a little bit about the news I've been hearing. We got some updates on the Kang situation, right? But before I do that, before we get into that, I'm going to get a little comfortable here. I'll bring in my coffee, right? Share what coffee I'm drinking today, what cup I'm drinking from. I've got kind of a small collection. I don't want to say a large collection, but I've got a small collection of 6 or 7 fairly amusing coffee cups. And since I got this coffee cup from this Avatar Miles Quaritch figure, right, I figured I might as well share what coffee cups I'm drinking with you today. But before I get into this Kang story and that situation, right, I kind of want to point out I am not a reporter, right? I'm not a news source. I'm not any kind of toy insider. I don't know anybody at Hasbro or Mattel or Kenner or anywhere, really. I'm not an insider, right? So anytime we talk about news, I kind of want to frame it that way, because I got this comment. I found this comment yesterday morning, and I'm very torn about it because I understand where this guy's coming from. And I'm going to share this with you guys today here. I'm going to share this guy's comment. And it was on my video about the Hasbro layoffs. And that was kind of my first news-related video, I guess. Right? Because I'm not a news guy. I'm just kind of a toy collector. I make customs, and I do toy photography, right? And so I've started reacting a little bit to news as it's coming out, and maybe that's a slippery slope, right? And so I want to read this guy's comment, and I'm going to leave his name out of it because I'm not trying to throw the guy under the bus, but it is what I'm trying to talk about here, right? And so I'm going to start quoting him pretty much right now, right? He says, "If slumping toy sales is the reason that they are laying off employees, then how does speaking with our wallets, not buying from Hasbro, going to help the remaining workers to keep their jobs? Could slumping films from Disney be a cause why figures are going to clearance? I have said so many times that Star Wars and Marvel licenses should have been the first thing they got rid of. Businesses thrive when they have fan support, but Marvel Legends fans and Star Wars fans don't care about the franchise, the movies, or the toys anymore. For context's sake, Jeep just laid off 3,600, Spotify just laid off 1,500, Amazon laid off 18,000 worldwide. It's not just Hasbro, even though most YouTubers won't take the time to research this. It's a systemic financial issue. What YouTuber is going to make videos demonizing the companies I just named that laid off over 10 times as many as Hasbro? Notice how Retro Blasting only comes out to make videos when he can talk about Hasbro? And he goes on to call Retro Blasting a name. Please don't become like that, or give more context to the state of the world and not just Hasbro, because they are not the only company laying people off. Google laid off 12,000 people. Anyone going to stop using YouTube? Because it's about laying off people, all you YouTubers should quit making videos on YouTube. See how hypocrisy works?" End quote. And so, now before I even get into my response, I'd like to point out a few things. First off, this guy doesn't even seem to follow the channel because he seems to think the channel's about Marvel Legends. And for anybody here, anybody that's been here watching these videos, please, you guys know, I don't collect Marvel Legends. There's not any Marvel Legends here unless I was trying to scale bash them, right? I've got an Ant-Man, I believe, that I'm calling a giant man, right? But I don't collect Marvel Legends. He seems to think this is a Marvel Legends channel, so he just responded probably to the title of the video. He probably didn't even watch any of my videos. But I'm going to get into my comment, or my response to his comment as well, because I tried to be careful with it, and I'd like to think it was carefully worded, right? And so I says to him in my comment back, I don't believe I asked anyone to speak with their wallets. Ultimately, it sounds like you are putting a lot of words in my mouth here. First and foremost, I want to say I get it. This is a place to have that discussion, and that's okay. However, don't put words in my mouth, please. Having said that, you also seem to be under the impression that this is some sort of news channel. It is not. I am not your source for news, toy news. I have said several times in several videos, I am not some toy insider. I am a collector, a customizer, and a photographer. I am not a news source. I did not report on Jeep layoffs because I knew nothing about them. Even now that you have made me aware, I have no intention of making a video about Jeep layoffs. I am not a car enthusiast. I am not an automotive reporter. I am not a reporter. I'm sorry if it seems harsh, but it's only meant to be as harsh as your comment, and only because you have put a lot of words in my mouth and responsibilities on my shoulder that I never claimed I would take up. End quote. And now, I can't stress that enough, guys, right? Anytime we talk about current events or anything like that, right? I'm not your local news. I'm not your source for insider information. I'm not, I don't know what this guy seems to have been under the impression that I'm his local news channel or something, right? These are the kinds of complaints you take to your local news station when they're not reporting on the important things. And I get it. Those are important things. But this isn't that kind of channel. I don't know what kind of channel he thought this was, or what kind of serious reporter I am, but I'm not, right? This isn't that kind of channel. And I may talk about the current events, but only as they relate to the topics that I'm interested in, right? I'm not a car enthusiast. I'm not a Jeep enthusiast. I could care less to some degree what kind of car I drive, right? And so while it's a very sad state of affairs that the world is in such turmoil all the time, that's not the focus of this channel, right? And it easily could be, I'm sure, but this guy and his comment, right? This channel is not going in that direction. I'm not trying to go in that direction, and I have no intention of going in that direction, right? And even here with this video today, right, we're going to talk about a little current events and news. But again, this is more like a reaction video, not, it's not, this isn't the channel you need to tune into for up-to-date current events and those kinds of things. Right? I'm not here to talk about Google layoffs or Jeep layoffs or the financial state of the world or any particular industries, and that's not what we're here for. I'm here to talk about my toy collection and my photography. That's about it, right? Even when I catch myself, I have opinions on politics, but I'm not trying to bring that here. That's not what this is, right? I don't have interest in politics and focusing my life on politics. I don't have interest in big business and finances. I don't want to focus on big business and finances, right? We're not going to talk a lot about no Bitcoin or stocks or none of that, right? But as news comes up and events happen as they relate to my favorite movies and my favorite franchises and my favorite comic books and my favorite toy brands, then yeah, I'm definitely going to talk about some of that stuff as we go, right? I'm not going to ignore it for fear of whatever, anything. Fear's a horrible motivator on that note. Let me get some of this coffee. For anybody wondering, if you don't know, I am in Michigan. This is a cup we got on vacation going through a city called Hell, Michigan. Tiny little country city. It is nice. Nice little place. A couple little tourist traps over there. It's a fun little trip. But getting back on track and staying on track. So obviously, everybody, if you haven't heard, you probably have, but if you haven't heard, Jonathan Majors has been announced as being let go from the Kang role, right? And it's my understanding, again, I am not your up-to-date news source, but it's my understanding that Marvel plans to carry on and go forward with the Kang Dynasty movie, right? The movie is going to go forward, and they'll probably just recast. And that's kind of what I want to talk about, right? I don't exactly like I don't want to talk about whether or not I agree with the verdicts or, right? They found him guilty and Disney let him go. Those are the facts as I understand them, right? And so what I do want to talk about, right, is the character Kang and moving forward, right? I don't exactly want to talk much about Jonathan Majors. I know a lot of people loved him in the role, and I guess I'll say this much. I liked He Who Remains in the first season of Loki very much. But I've seen several things with him since then. I've seen a cowboy flick that was kind of mediocre. And even his performance in season 2 of Kang as that Timely character, the accent for Timely just bothered me. It was too cheesy. It was too over the top. He was just too silly to take seriously as any kind of threat, right? But even in Ant-Man, in the Quantumania movie, it seemed very flat, very, I don't know, uninspired, dull. The costume looked good, and he had some moments that were real powerful, I guess, but it didn't scream to me in any way that this was something special or fantastic. And I know a lot of people are probably going to be arguing that, everybody said they loved the performance before, but anybody that knew me, I thought he had the right look, but he wasn't the best actor. I never thought he was the best actor. And even if he was, I am not the kind of guy that thinks these guys cannot be replaced. And that's kind of what I want to talk about, right? Is to kind of refocus this a bit in that direction, right? And Judge Dredd is a great example of these kinds of movies and this kind of problem, right? A lot of these superheroes and supervillains, right? We're being shown a lot of the actors' faces with no helmets, masks, and such, right? Putting the actor out in front of the character, right? Like Sylvester Stallone wouldn't play Judge Dredd without his face being seen so much, right? And then we got that Carl Urban version that was happy to wear that helmet the whole movie. And that to me put his over the top, right? That put Carl Urban's Judge Dredd an arm and a leg ahead of that Sylvester Stallone Judge Dredd. Even though I liked the Judge Dredd movie when I was a kid, it just, it doesn't have that same seriousness. But even if it did, taking his helmet off loses something from the translation, right? And Kang is a very similar one where he's supposed to have this very strange appearance in his helmet and his face, right? And I thought they translated it well. They did a good job at bringing that to the live action in on the big screen. But they only used it for moments, right? He would wear it for a second, and then they would get rid of the helmet and the mask, and we're right back to Jonathan Majors' face. And these actors and their faces being attached to these roles in these ways that they shouldn't even be, right? We shouldn't see Jonathan Majors' face for him to play Kang. We should see Kang's face, right? Because we're not seeing Kang play Jonathan Majors. We're seeing Jonathan Majors play Kang. I don't want to see Jonathan Majors. I want to see Jonathan Majors pretending to be Kang, right? And likewise, I want to see Judge Dredd, right? I'm not there to see Carl Urban or Sylvester Stallone. And I feel like, obviously, Hollywood and the studios and whoever, they think certain actors will be a draw, right? But some of these actors, I mean, that's the point, Nobody, I don't want to say nobody, but I had never heard of Jonathan Majors before Kang, right? So he wasn't the draw. Kang was the draw. And Kang still is the draw. And that's the point. That's the point I'm trying to make. People still want to see Kang. Right? Recast him. Right? Right? There's been a lot of talk about replacing him. Right? Who can fill that multiverse saga big bad spot? Right? And there's been a lot of talk about, replace him with Doom. Just get Kang out of there, drop Doom in. And I think that's the wrong choice, I think. Right? Because they've already tried to establish and set it up so strong in so many movies and hints and little, the show Loki, right? But even there, right? Loki's a good point to bring in for this discussion too. Because even within this same show where we were introduced to Kang, right? We've seen several actors play Loki right alongside Tom Hiddleston. Right? So why can't we see another actor play Kang? Why does every Kang have to be Jonathan Majors? Not every Loki is Tom Hiddleston. And that, I mean, on that note too, even, right? Not every Spider-Man has been Tom Holland, right? They've already shown us the Tobey Maguire and the Andrew Garfield, right? He's not going to stand up good, I already know it. I'm going to have to play with him to get him to stand. But, I mean, you get what I'm saying, right? Why would Kang be the only character in the universe played by the only the one actor? Everyone else seems to be vulnerable to other actors, right? Even, there's been a lot of discussion about how many Wolverines we might see in this Deadpool movie. Right? And even on that note, too, like I said, even if he was a big face, a big draw, right? We've seen this before with War Machine, with Rhodey, right? They replaced Terrence Howard with what's his name, right? The Red Skull, right? They replaced that guy. What's his name? I can't remember his name right now. But he was a big draw. A lot of people thought he was the perfect casting for that, and you could never recast him. But they did, didn't they? And you almost didn't even notice. It was so perfectly done. When you see him again on Vormir, right? And he's in the cloak, right? He's a floating wraith. That's not the same actor, right? And I think some people couldn't even tell. Didn't even notice, right? It just goes straight under the radar because it was done so well. And he's a great example of what I'm trying to say here, too. There we go. With some of these villains, you're not supposed to see the actor. You're supposed to see the villain's face, the character's face, the Red Skull's face, Kang's face, right? Judge Dredd's helmet, right? And so, if they do the character right, any good actor should be able to step in and try and fill that role within reason, obviously. Right? And you'll get different variations, but that's the point of an actor, right? An actor should be able to, even maybe not every actor wants to play Kang, right? But there could potentially be a Kang played by Johnny Depp, a Kang played by Brad Pitt, right? Kang played by Rose McGowan. The list goes on, right? Everyone, a version of Kang played by me, right? Maybe a version of Kang played by Judge Dredd while he's played by Sylvester Stallone while he's in character as Judge Dredd, right? But 13,000 John Majors, all with John Major's face and John Major's clothes and John Major's voice, right? That's a lot less interesting. 13,000 Lokis, right? 1 million Lokis, all played by Tom Hiddleston. Heck, most of the variants we've seen weren't played by Tom Hiddleston, right? We've seen an alligator, we've seen a female, we've seen the old man, the kid. None of those variants were played by Tom Hiddleston. We did see other variants from him, but he wasn't the only actor in that role, even in its own, within the contained walls of the show. So I see no reason why another character introduced in that same show can't be treated the same way, right? And hopefully this isn't crossing a line, but I mean, Tom Hiddleston didn't even get fired, and they've had other people play Loki, right? This guy got fired. That role's not sacred to him, right? That role doesn't belong to him. And even on that note, actors like Tom Hiddleston, and I even like Robert Downey Jr., you hear people say things like no one else could play Iron Man. I'd like to see lots of people play Iron Man. I don't believe that Robert Downey Jr. owns that role, right? That's why somebody's paying him to play it, right? If he owned it, he would be paying someone else to play it. The fans own it. The IP owner owns it. But the actor is acting. He's pretending to be that character for money. Maybe if he's doing it for free. If he's doing it for free, he definitely might embody that character. I don't expect anybody to do it for free. But you see what I'm saying? There's a difference. If there wasn't a demand for Kang, we would have never needed to see Jonathan Majors in the role in the first place. And likewise, that demand to see Kang hasn't gone away because of the circumstances, I think. Right? Kang is not hurt by these real world current events. They don't reflect upon the fictional character that is Kang. And so I think the reality should reflect that, right? They've often used other actors, right? Let's bring him in there just to show what I'm saying, right? War Machine got replaced. Red Skull got replaced. Lots of, right? The Hulk's a great example, right? Ed Norton does not still play the Hulk, right? And Ed Norton is considered a top tier A-list type of actor, right? A great actor. But I'm a huge fan of Mark Ruffalo's Hulk, right? I don't like seeing different versions. It's not my first choice to lose an actor in a role I really like them in. But that's not always the case, right? And if an actor's not a right fit after a couple movies, or his personality changes or his behavior changes, becomes erratic, cases like this where behavior issues pop up after we've gotten lots of material from the character, right? I mean, it's never too late, right? It's not too late. I don't think going forward, right? If the MCU acts like this hurt the character, then it hurts the character. But if the MCU ignores this real world drama and just carries on as if that never, right? Just like War Machine, we just kept rolling, right? We didn't, the MCU didn't need to address it, right? And I think if they get rid of him and replace him with Doom, that's what it's going to feel like. Right? It's going to feel contrived. It's going to feel forced. It's going to feel like the real world has affected a fictional universe in this way. And I for one, don't want that. I want a Doctor Doom introduced in a more natural way, in a more organic kind of way, instead of being shoehorned in to take someone else's spot. Right? It's a disservice to Doom. It's a disservice to Kang. And it's a disservice to the MCU in general, because this has been building for several years now, and like 2, 3, 4 years now, whatever it is, right? With the Loki TV series, and anything basically that ties into this Kang Dynasty type of stuff, right? You get movies like Shang-Chi and the 10 Rings, and a lot of discussion about how those 10 rings may be some sort of Kang tech, right? And maybe that's not the case. I don't know. But if it is, you can't just rewrite that as Doom tech, right? You can't just spin that. You can't just change the name on the title, right? Oh, it's no longer Kang tech, now it's Doom tech. That doesn't work. That doesn't work for me. It wouldn't make any sense. These elements have been well established already. And I'm not going to try and make a list of them or compile, right, a checklist, but they're out there, and we know they're out there. That's one of the things that we get excited for at the theater, or in the, you know, when we're watching the movie and those Easter eggs pop up, we're like, oh yeah, that's that, yeah, right? Those might be related to Kang. Look at that. That looks like his little city down there, right? But now it's like kicking over a house of cards, right? You can't build a house of cards by kicking it over. You gotta carefully construct them. So one of your cards is looking like it might disrupt the house. Just give it a little attention, refirm it, right? And by reaffirm it, I mean get a new actor in there, right? Someone that isn't out there doing wild stuff, right? But I think I understand that sometimes you don't, you can't blame Disney for Jonathan Majors' behavior. It's not like they could have predicted his situation, but I mean, my mom always told me, who you hang out with is a reflection on you. You gotta choose your friends wisely, and that don't apply to these big groups, right? Big companies. I think those kinds of things apply, right? Just because that big company isn't a person, right? Who that company hangs out with still reflects on it, right? And so you're gonna have to try real hard to get decent folks in these roles, not these wild boys out here living wild lives. Right? That's what it boils down to, I think. Some of these guys, they start to think they're irreplaceable. as these characters. Just because Doctor Doom is immortal in the fans' eyes doesn't mean every actor that plays him will be. I think we've seen that already, right? We've seen that in every Doom performance, right? And that's part of, I think that's part of my concern here, right? You've gotten several bad versions of Doom now. I haven't been a big fan of any of the versions we got of Doom. I kind of didn't hate the trench coat version in the first movie. Once he put on the mask and the trench coat, but his powers were weird and off. His personality was weird and off. Right? His look was weird and off. And that's the problem, right? If you don't do it right, we're going to end up with another Jinky Doom. If you just try and force him in there, you're going to do a third Doom or a fourth Doom funny. I mean, I don't know if I should count that 90s live action version, because that one was actually kind of accurate, if not a bit cheesy. But I think I'm just trying to stress enough. It's not a big deal to recast these guys. Don't be afraid to get a different actor and keep his face blue, right? He shouldn't have a single scene where his face and head is not in this helmet. And then next time you bring in a different actor, you're forced to bring in a different actor to play Kang. He's still got that blue face and a purple helmet. It don't matter who you recast. Recast him 1,000 times. Every time you bring Kang in, you could have a different actor in it. It's not about the actor. It's about who he's playing. Right? Is he recognizably Kang? Does he act like Kang? Does he look like Kang? Does he behave like Kang? Right? Is he after the same things that Kang would be after? The same goals Kang would have? Right? It's that simple. It's that simple. I'm not coming to Disney Plus or the theater to see Jonathan Majors. Right? I'm not there to see Jonathan Majors. I'm not there to see Tom Hiddleston. Right? And I understand that might get a little backlash. I understand that not everyone's going to agree with this statement. But when I go to see a Loki show or a Hulk show or anything that's coming out, it's because of the character it's attached to. Right? The history I have with that character, the comic books I grew up on, reading comics about Loki and Thor, reading comics where they fight Kang and the Red Skull, and right? I didn't grow up reading about Tom Hiddleston. I didn't grow up reading about Jonathan Majors, right? Or Mark Ruffalo. When I was growing up, I had no clue who these people were, right? And even on that note, when I was growing up, Jonathan Majors wasn't even born yet. So, right? I understand that these people, right, they deserve appreciation for their playing them roles, and they're getting it, right? That I think that's what I'm saying. That they're getting a large checks, they're getting a large fame. It's not like they're lacking in that, right? But what we as fans are lacking in is commitments to these roles, where you'll keep that mask on the whole time you're supposed to. Or, right, stay the Hulk for more than 5 minutes in the movie because you want to be seen. A lot of these characters won't wear their masks or taking their mask off every 5 minutes, right? And even now with these introductions of these masks that just slide off on their own, right? Black Panthers and Blue Beetles and Iron Mans, their masks all just come off on their own now, right? They don't even have to physically do anything to take these masks off now. And it's too much focus on these actors and their faces. I don't think, right, 30 years ago, an actor like Sylvester Stallone would be the only reason you went and saw certain movies, right? Like Cliffhanger or whatever, right? But these movies aren't like that. They aren't structured like that. They weren't made popular like that, right? Mark Ruffalo didn't make the Hulk popular. I don't even know if one actor could claim that, except maybe Lou Ferrigno, right? Maybe. But, I mean, that was part of the point then, too. Lou Ferrigno knew who the Hulk was before he played the Hulk, right? That was the draw. The Hulk was the draw for Lou Ferrigno to play it, right? I think some of that gets forgotten in the hustle and bustle sometimes of who is the draw, who drew the crowd, right? Did Tom Hiddleston draw the crowd to the Loki show, or did Loki? Did the name Loki draw? Did Kang draw, or did Jonathan Majors draw? Right? And I think almost every time, even if you can give credit to the actor like Tom Hiddleston, right? We can give lots of credit to Tom Hiddleston. But it's Loki. Come on. I think even if you would have gotten other actors in that role instead, it still would have been really, really huge. Right? Because Loki has a lot of fans. Even outside of Tom Hiddleston's performance, people like Loki. Right? But I think that's kind of all I really wanted to say, is that we need to understand the dynamic here. Right? It shouldn't be a big discussion. It shouldn't be so dramatic. Jonathan Majors is out. That's not up for debate by anyone. Even if Disney didn't want him out, I'm sure he's out anyways, but he is out, right? So, the question is, does he take Kang with him on his way out? I don't see any reason why he should. Kang's ours, we're keeping him. It's that simple. Right? Just put any other actor in there and give him a blue face. It's that simple. Don't give us another Jonathan Majors. Give us Kang. Give us multiple actors in the role even. I wouldn't even mind that. Right? Maybe hire 5 different guys. Right? 5 different guys can play Kang in the same film. I don't care. Because I know I didn't like the performances from them Immortus and Sentry or whatever, Silver Sentry or whatever. Them variants at the end of Loki, right? Or Quantumania. No, which one was it? Where were them Loki? You know what I'm talking about. All them variants of Kang in that Coliseum. I'm getting confused now. But there was all them Kang variants in the Coliseum, and every single one of them was Jonathan Majors, right? But those performances, all those accents he does, I didn't like any of them, right? And I never understood. But a lot of people said they loved his performance. So, more power to you. But I don't think it'd be very hard to replace him. I really don't. But I think having said that, I'm just going to keep going in circles if I don't cut myself off here. Because I could do that. I could just kind of keep going in that circle. Right? We need some more masks and less actors. Recast them if you need to. Blah, blah, blah. But I appreciate you guys hanging out with me. Listening to my rant. Again, I am not a news source. Don't take anything I say too seriously. Right? I'm just a guy giving his thoughts. If you want to check me out on Facebook, give me a follow on Facebook at John Wayna, Wayna. If you want to check out my toy photography on Instagram, it's Street City Toys. But otherwise, I appreciate you guys hanging out. Keep playing with them toys, and I'll talk to you again real soon.